Oh, okay. Wait, no, no, no. Okay. Um, so here we go. I wanted to kick things off showing some of the images I created prior uh, to all this kind of chaos happening. I was shooting analog based off our last project, looking at the form in nature and how we kind of just like look for ourselves in everything, like that sort of philosophy and what that means in terms of our connection and value and stuff if we can see ourselves in something. Um, but obviously, since we don't have access to a dark room anymore, or yeah, I won't be shooting this way. But I think at some point in my life, I kind of embedded the term question everything inside me, or maybe it's because I'm a Gemini, like really indecisive. Um, but I had so many ideas for this project, and I kind of just whipped out. It says enter your mind map here. I forgot. But like, what is an image? What is a self-portrait? What do we keep? What's the difference between making, creating, and constructing as like the big takeaways from that? And if I remembered to put the picture in, you'd see how like vast of ideas I had to narrow down and whatnot. Um, but the two biggest ones, I think it all kind of still relates to that initial project because I was still kind of going off that idea of like how do we see ourselves in different things and how is what we hold on to a reflection of who we are as individuals and what does it mean when we start to deconstruct other people's imagery. um, so off these questions and key points, as I typically start out any research, I found definitions of some of the major words. So image, making, create, construct, and just kind of like took snippets of those definitions and the idea of potentiality and to invest with a new form. I really enjoyed and thought could be stretched in many different directions. So I kind of kicked things off there. And those definitions reminded me of the this John Berger quote from one of our readings earlier this semester. And I want to continue to meditate on it, particularly that last section stating that the most popular use of the photograph is a memento of the absent. Um, and I'll kind of tie that in later, but I just thought it was pretty relevant, even to our situation now. Um, but within all those words and stuff I took away, it kind of, I feel like a lot always leads me back to the construction of a collage. And prior to this research, I would have called the combination of any sort of media collage, but have recently learned that, well, yeah, the history of collage began with canvas and paint during the Cubist movement. Um, and what we have grown more familiar with in modern times is an assemblage of photo montages, which are defined as compositions created out of entirely photography. Um, and all this sort of began with Hannah Hotch during the Dada movement in Berlin in 1918. And with this, I've been considering the alteration and careful pasting, manipulation of image, even all the way back to like early photography history, where Lincoln's head was like plopped on top of another man's body for the $5 bill, and we still reproduce that today. Um, and that's probably like one of the most famous photographs that I can think of. So it's interesting that overlap because I know some people might argue that, hey, this isn't necessarily photography, but I think manipulation is kind of inherent to any art form. And then, yeah, so I've been diving into Hannah Hotch and she started making her work in like a really crazy period in Germany. And an article from the MoMA in 1997 cites that such work challenges the discrepancies of traditional art and modern life. And we're thinking about all the politics and war going on at the time, and they used the word glut, which I really enjoyed in relation to mass media and our contemporary consumption extending beyond typical possessions to images such as illustrated magazines, newspaper, photography, and film. And Hodge equates her scissor, which I really enjoyed, with a kitchen knife to resemble a historically feminized domestic tool in disassembling images created by male industries. Oops. And then I think it's pronounced Thamage, but that's not really my forte pronunciation. But in learning about Hannah Hodge, I stumbled upon this genre of Thamage brought into the art world by Miriam Shapiro in 1978 in the essay Waste Not, Want Not. And the idea emerged because like historically, women have had to turn to alternative means of creating due to limited access and materials, like in relation to fine arts. So Thamage is typically marked by utilizing fragments such or sharing characteristics and by just utilizing fragments. So saving and recycling materials, combining available materials such as like photographs, printed matter, images and text into abstract and organic forms. And there's been a new surge in females reclaiming this means of creation. And I think, especially in a time of quarantine, it's relevant to, I'm going to keep saying this, but like make do with what we have. And I think it's just interesting to make those connections to very early feminist artwork in our current situation. And with that concept of recycling, I think Anne Helper's work, this exhibition Makeshift, which I believe, it was in Portland, would be like a decent exploration for me during this time. So what she did is she took plastic bags and kind of tore them apart, put them back together, and then blew them up, and then she made these gorgeous cyanotypes, and there's something I think really enchanting and unsettling about them. And I just watched this documentary called Bag It on how frequently we interact with plastic, and it really, I can't like stop thinking about like that bag of bags I have under my sink, like God knows how many's inside that. So I think approaching some kind of structural, like transparent thing like she did and like capturing it with light could be really cool. Ooh. So moving forward, I feel like I've discussed like a pretty wide range of different means of creating and constructing. And the sustainable design concept of cradle to crater has been in my mind a lot. And I included a journal entry from a couple days ago, like before I truthfully got this deep into the research. But I talk about deconstruction and how, like, as artists, specifically photographers, we try and make very like temporary things physical via prints, immortalizing it. And I think that's like just like human nature to try and immortalize everything. And this could go super philosophical with that. But I think all these amazing artists that are cutting things up and then giving it new life has a lot of value, and I want to really explore that. So Todd Hito has this collection called Found. I think it's the Peter J. Cohen Foundation, where he finds all the images and puts them together, and then he kind of has these very subjective narrative forms. Todd Hito does something similar. But what I really, really enjoy is how he takes these images that like came from estate sales or whatever, and even just like little pieces of paper with markings and stuff on them, like torn up, like still shows all the imperfections, but then like scans them as if they're like this beautiful piece of artwork. I think that really relates to what I was talking about earlier in terms of like what we keep and what we value and like what that has to say and what sort of, I guess, like biography unfolds from collecting and that cradle to cradle giving new life to like an object once discarded. And I have like, I'm like a low key like hoarder of like every little thing that I just think has some sort of charming quality. So it could be cool to go through and examine that. And I also recently purchased a scanner for myself. Um, so I really want to make use of that, of course. But I've been diving a bit more into scanography. I think it was Allie did some cool portraits with that and showed them to us at the beginning of the, I forget who did it, but also like that would be cool and just different means of using that to create images when I don't really have access to a camera beyond my phone. Well, I mean, I still have my camera, but I can't develop anything. So combining that with the other things I've shown, and then I've also had this photo book that I got at the library forever ago by James Baker Hall, who mainly does like nature photography, but he took all these old family photographs and kind of made, again, like sort of structures out of them. But the way he arranged it, he played with light and incorporating like other elements to create these sort of like interdimensional, like eerily nostalgic images, just utilizing space and focus to get different effects. And while aesthetically, I don't think it's really my style, I think the technique could be something really cool to play along with. So thanks for bearing with me for all that. I think I forgot to include some references, but yeah, this is what I got right now. I'd love feedback, and I wish everyone luck in their process.